Episode 3, the hidden cost of buying a new construction home and what buyers wish they knew before closing. So these last couple of weeks, we've been talking about things that nobody really tells you about buying a new construction home. And so with the first episode, we talked about why you need a realtor. The second episode last week, we talked about the model home price and how that affects you as a buyer. And so today I wanted to go into the topic of these hidden costs of buying a new construction home and what you need to know when you're starting the process of purchasing a new construction. So sometimes when you go out and you start looking at homes, you can look at the price, and the price might start off at $320,000, and you think in your mind, hey, okay, that's my price range, I can afford that. But then when you start adding up the upgrades and you start looking at the lot size, you start looking at the closing costs, or you start looking at the taxes, you kind of start thinking of like, okay, can I really afford this $320,000 house? And so, but here's the truth, right? It's not because anyone is trying to trick you or trying to pull the wool over your eyes or anything like that. It's because there are some costs that most buyers simply don't know to ask about. And if nobody tells you ahead of time, those surprises can turn you into turn your home buying experience into a stressful one. Okay, so that's exactly why I'm here tonight. I am here to make sure that you are buying with knowledge and confidence in knowing what you're getting when you're going out and you're starting to look at new construction homes. So for everyone who does not know, my name is Gwen Ransom. I am your intentional agent, and I am new construction home specialist out here in Fort Bend County and surrounding areas. I have worked with a lot of buyers who have bought new construction, so I wanted to make sure that I came on to educate everyone on the process of buying new construction. That is my whole goal for this series, okay? And so every week I'm sharing the information I wish every buyer knew before they sign on the dotted line. They sign that contract. So this series is not to scare you, is not to talk you out of buying new construction, but it's help you to feel prepared and not so that you don't get any blindsided. You're not uneducated about what you're going out there looking at. So if you're watching live, say hello in the comments. Let me know where you're from. Go ahead on and like this video, share it with someone else, let somebody else know that I'm on, especially if you know that they're starting their home buying process. This is great information for them. So let's go ahead on and get into this here part of these hidden costs that sometimes are not discussed before you sign on the dotted line. So let's start with the upgrades. Okay, one hidden cost is sometimes is the upgrades. So you walk into that beautiful model home, right, and the kitchen is like, oh, it's beautiful, and the flooring is wonderful, and the cabinets are the exact color that you want it to be, and then you sit down with the sales agent and you hear these words. Those are upgrades. Now, don't get me wrong, upgrades aren't bad, okay? And then according to the builder, some upgrades are standard. So those are some of the questions that you want to make sure that you ask, when you're talking to the sales agent, which upgrades are standard and which ones have a cost price to them, okay? So my advice when you're spending your money on things that are, spend your money on things that are hard to change later. So things like higher ceilings, if you're building from the ground up, an extended patio, okay? Sometimes the homes come with the small standard size patio. If you want an extended patio for your bigger family or to be able to entertain out in the backyard, extra electrical outlets You never know when you're going to need a plug, right? You can always change a light fixture later on, okay? So changing the size of your patio is not always it's not easy. So that might be something that you want to really kind of think about as far as where your money is going towards an upgrade. Also on the hidden cost, another thing that you want to look at is lot premiums, okay? The lot itself can cost extra depending on what size lot you're looking at. You know, if you're looking at a cul-de-sac, then most of the times that backyard is going to be a larger size. That lot is probably going to have a premium on that size, okay? So that's some of the things that you want to make sure you ask about. If you have a lot that has no back neighbors, that is wonderful. When you have no back neighbors, right? Nobody looking in your backyard, but that also might be a cost to that lot size. It might be a lot premium. And that premium, that lot size, is an extra cost that's added to the sale of the home. So you want to make sure you're asking that, depending on the lot size, you know, where the lot is stationed at, where the home is built at. You want to ask that question about a lot premium. Another hidden cost is the closing costs. So a lot of times, a lot of buyers, they focus on only the sale of the home and not on the little things that go within the sale of the home and in that price. There are some expenses that is involved in finalizing the purchase. Closing costs is one of them. Closing costs is not the same thing as a down payment, okay? Those are two separate things, okay? And so closing costs are things like your title fees. When the title company comes in and does all of the paperwork and your legal fees, getting things transferred over into your name legally with the county, with the courts and all of that there, your loan fees when it comes down to your loan processing and stuff like that. There's a fees with those. Your escrow or your prepaid items also can be in the closing costs, okay? So make sure you're asking about what is covered in that closing cost and how much those closing costs are going to be. Usually they can give you a general amount, estimated amount about how much those closing costs are. Now the good news about builders, especially, you know, right now, some of the builders have great incentives where they're paying for those closing costs as long as you're using their lender, okay? The incentives are to cover those closing costs is wonderful, because sometimes those closing costs can be anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 depending on what's being covered, okay? And so you want to make sure that you're understanding, if you're buying with new construction, ask for about that information about closing costs, or if the builder has any incentives to cover that closing costs. That's a huge amount that can be taken off of your plate when it comes down to your final numbers, okay? Like I said, every builder is different, so you want to make sure that you ask. Another hidden cost that people really don't always think about is the cost of moving in. Yes, you have bought the home, we've signed the paperwork, everything, we went and picked up the keys. Now it's time to move in, okay? Do you have funds to cover that? That's one of the things that you want to make sure that you are looking at also. So a lot of times I'll tell my buyers to do a budget check, move in budget checklist to make sure that you're going to have enough funds to be able to move with. So you know, you want to make sure that sometimes the homes don't come with blinds, or they don't come with a refrigerator, or they don't come with a washer and dryer, and so or a moving truck. You might need a moving truck. Will you be able to have funds after you sign the house, after you sign for the closing? Will you have funds to be able to move in? So you want to make sure that that cost is covered alongside with whatever other fees that you have coming up, okay? This is going to be one of the closing, the fees, costs that a lot of people don't think about, right? Because they're so focused on purchasing the home that they just want to get to the closing table and get the keys and sign the paperwork and get funded and become the homeowner, that the part about what are we going to do for blinds now, right? If they don't come with the home, or what are we going to do for a washer and dryer if it doesn't come with the home? So make sure you're putting that into your budget also when you're getting ready to purchase for new construction. Okay. Another cost that we look at, and we're just going to talk a little bit about this one because we're going to do a full talk next week: property taxes and HOA. Dude, that's huge, right? Because we're in Texas, we know that these are going to be part of your mortgage. It's going to be part of your costs when you're getting a loan, right? So property taxes are property taxes. They can vary by the community or by your neighborhood, and they can change over time, okay? If you have not heard, a lot of homeowners will have stories about, well, their property taxes started at one price and then it went up over the years and increased and stuff like that. I always tell people to make sure that you are putting money to the side for your property taxes. Even though you're paying in your property taxes monthly, when you're paying into your monthly note, when you're paying into your escrow account, still put some money to the side for the end of the year. So that way, when your property taxes come up, you will have money set to the side for that. If you can, you have money set to the side for that to pay your property taxes. So you won't have that huge increase on your monthly note, okay? And we're gonna talk more about that tomorrow. We're gonna go into detail about the property taxes and HOA fees and stuff like that. So, but I want to make sure that you understand that is gonna be one of the costs in your monthly note. And I want you to be aware of that, okay? So with that, understanding these costs before you buy helps you to choose a home that's going to fit your overall budget, okay? And it's going to be best for you and your family. So I want to leave you tonight with this thought. Buying a home isn't just about asking, can I afford the purchase of the home, okay? It's also about, do I understand everything that comes with owning this home, right? Especially if you are coming from a renter to a homeowner. Some of these things, not talked about when you're renting. You don't even worry about property taxes or closing costs, fees, and stuff like that, right? So becoming a homeowner, it is a little bit more to it, right? It is a little bit more to it, but for the long term of it, it's going to pay off, okay? So I want to make sure that I am educating everyone on the process of purchasing new construction homes. These are some of the things that some of my buyers, talk about or ask questions about when I sit down with them to do a buyer's consultation. And I try to make sure that I go over all of this when we do sit down and talk, because I don't like for my buyers to be blindsided with anything later on. So make sure that when you're working with a realtor that you're asking these questions, okay? Or if you're going into the model home and you're looking at the homes and stuff like that, and you're starting to have a conversation with a sales agent, make sure you're asking these questions, okay? What costs are inside of that mortgage cost? What cost is inside of that purchase, that home price, okay? What does all that cover? What is the lot premium? That's a huge one that people don't ask questions about, because you don't think about that lot having a price on it. You just think about the house and the price of the home, okay? So, if you need any information or you just want to sit down and talk about this here, I'm always available. The more informed you are, the more confident you'll be, and your confidence leads to better decisions. So if tonight's live helped you in any way, please share this, like this, If you have any questions about anything, you can comment down below, or you can DM me with your questions, and I'll get back with you. This is no pressure to buy or use me as your realtor. I just like to make sure that I'm educating people when it comes down to purchasing new construction, because I do a lot of sales in new construction, and sometimes you don't know what questions to ask, and so you don't ask any. And so a lot of times, if you don't ask the questions, the answers are not given to you until later on. Okay, and so that's the reason why I'm doing it. So thank y'all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, if you know somebody who is getting ready to purchase a home and they need this information, please share it with them. I'm coming on every Monday at 7 p.m. And I'm talking about more things when it comes down to things that are not being talked about when you're buying new construction, during a series. And so next week we'll be talking about why your monthly payment isn't just your mortgage, understanding the property taxes, the HOA fees, the insurance, the mud tax. We're going to be talking about a whole lot next week, okay? And that's going to be one of the most important ones, because these are the things, especially like your property taxes, your HOA fees, insurance, and your mud taxes and stuff, that's not explained into detail a lot of times. So, hey, that's what I'm here for. So, yeah, I just want to make sure y'all get that information. Please let me know how I can help y'all. If it's just sitting down, just having a conversation, you don't know where to start, you don't know what your next step is gonna be, I would love to have that conversation with you. But that's what I'm here for, y'all. So my name is Glenn Ransom, your intentional agent, and I look forward to helping y'all any way I can. So thank you so much for watching tonight. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see y'all next Monday, 7 o'clock.